Vocation of the business leader. Have you ever wondered if you had the natural talents to start a business of your own? By the end of this video, you'll have 5 powerful steps you can take today to figure that out for yourself. If you want to find and nurture your ideal occupation or business niche, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you know whenever a new video comes out. And remember to smash that like button. Let's jump right into it. A big part of this video will have to do with you knowing what your core values are as a human being. Why? Because if you don't live your life according to your values, you're going to feel miserable, you're not going to be successful, and you're just not going to make it. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how high you are on some of those core values that have to do with creating a business of your own. Step 1. Figure out how high you are on political values. Political values have to do with you needing to feel like you are in control of what you are doing, with you feeling like you want to have this feeling of recognition from others, either your peers or other people who know you or who get to see you. This is something that drives people who like to be famous, rich, and all of those things. This is also the kind of value, when we say political, that has to do with power, being motivated by getting power, being motivated by being able to influence people, by being able to dominate maybe an industry, and having that ability to compete and win. Why is this important? Because this need for significance, this need for actually going up and being recognized by others and being far and above the best person that you can be and being the best person in the room at what you do is something that can drive you to higher and higher heights when it comes to your profession, your occupation, or the vocation that you choose to do. Likewise, if you have that need for control being a very strong part of who you are, at the core of who you are, you're going to have difficulty working for someone else because you feel like you need to have that control. You need to know that you control the source of your income, that you control your destiny, and that is the kind of person that you are. Chances are, if that need is very powerful, if that core value of yours is very strong, you're going to end up doing something for yourself sooner or later. Now, some people might associate the core value of seeking power to something negative, but it doesn't have to be that way. Power is nothing more than the ability to get things done. I want everyone to remember that. Power is the ability to get things done, either through yourself or through others. Why? Because sometimes if you're trying to achieve something big, you're going to require the collaboration of others. So how do you influence them to help you achieve that vision that you have? Another way of seeing power is that people depend on you and not the other way around. That's what power is, dependence. Now, this isn't to say like, oh, you're going to make people take drugs so they depend on you. No. What we're saying here is that you are contributing so much to other people that they are beholden to you in the sense that they depend on you to keep producing those goods, those services, or whatever it is that you're doing that's adding a lot of value to their lives, right? Versus you depending on them 100% to make sure that you can go around about your day. Does that make sense? If so, comment below and let us know what are some ways of using power ethically, like I just mentioned. Step 2. How high are you on social or altruistic values? This might sound weird to you, but some of the biggest leaders we've ever had in the history of mankind have been very high on the altruistic or social values. This core value is the value of contributing to your community, to society, and to have an impact in the world. You could have big personalities from the past like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, and even some very powerful business leaders who tend to have the mentality of contributing first. Now, the need to contribute by itself may not be enough to create something big if that's what you're interested in. But if you are one of the people who happens to be high on both the power or political values and the social altruistic values, then you are a very high candidate for what we call servant leadership. Servant leadership is a style of leadership that is incredibly powerful. Why? Because you are a leader who serves by contributing to other people's lives. And as we know, both in life and business, the more you contribute to people, the more they're willing to give back. And this has to do with some basic human nature like the reciprocity principle, among other things that we're not going to go in depth in this video. But before you go thinking, oh yeah, talk to me about the money, I don't care about helping others, let me give you some hard numbers. According to some studies done in some of the biggest companies in the world, companies that have leaders who focus not only on the customer, but also on their employees and thinking that their employees are just as important, if not more important than customers. Those companies tend to have 20% higher sales than companies that do not have that focus on being social, on contributing to other people who are employees of your company. 20% higher profits, a boost of over 10% in customer satisfaction, and only 1/3 of the employee turnover. So you might think, oh yeah, that's probably a fluke. I don't understand why like putting that emphasis on employees, why like being someone who contributes, someone who really cares about serving others, not just your customers, is gonna have a better business. Well, like Simon Sinek put it best, and he's one of the foremost experts on leadership in the world currently. Basically, good leaders make you feel safe. I'll put a link to his video on that somewhere here in the cards. But the gist of it is that in order to have a good, strong company that can actually go out there and compete with other companies, compete with the market conditions, with the regulations, with changes in the customer's preferences, you cannot have a company in which employees don't feel like they can trust each other, that they don't feel like they can trust the leaders or the managers or their supervisors. Why? Well, think about it. Think about two different scenarios. One in which you're in a job in which if you make a mistake, you're likely to be laid off. How likely is it that you're actually going to tell people that you made a mistake so you can fix it, so that you can actually do a better job out there? Chances are you're going to cover that mistake, you're going to lie, you may even blame others, and you're going to have a backstabbing culture in that company. Also, if you're the employee of a company like that, what are the chances that you are going to invest yourself into making the company the best company it can be? It's highly unlikely. You're not going to feel loyal to a company that you feel can lay you off without a second thought. But in another case, a company in which the leaders actually make you feel safe, they go in and they let you say, yes, I made this mistake, I'm going to correct it this way. And they're not forcing you to, but they genuinely care about you and they try to do their best to help you be successful at your role. And they don't hang it over you that they're going to fire you, or they're going to do this, or they're going to kick you out if you don't perform, but instead they support you and they go all the 100% way to make that happen for you. Then how much more likely are you to go to bat for the person who already put their head, their face, their neck on the line for you? And it starts at the top. Awesome. So if you're feeling safe not only with your leaders, but with your peers as well, then you're going to feel so good about being there that you're actually going to put a lot of effort into it, more likely than not. And you, the company, is going to be one coherent, strong entity that can go out there and smash that like button, and smash the competition in the workforce, smash other companies, smash whatever conditions the market throws at you. But again, if you don't have that feeling of trust inside the company, it's going to dissipate. It's going to be just a lot of little individuals with their own specific agendas instead of a cohesive union. Does that make sense? Comment below if it does. Alright, so by now you must be thinking, okay, what if I'm not high on political values or social values? Am I screwed? Will I not be rich? Will I not make my own company? No, step 3, check down your economic values. There is something called the rich versus king dilemma. This is something that has been studied in the startup community. What this means is you are either someone who, as an entrepreneur or as a business owner, you want to have control of the company, like we mentioned on step 1, or you are the person who just wants to make a buck, which is the rich person, so to speak. And what's been seen in the data with major companies, especially in the tech sector, but also in other sectors, is that usually the entrepreneur who builds the company, who creates the company, is not necessarily the best person to make that company grow. So in other words, it's been seen in the data after you collect hundreds and hundreds of cases that usually the company will grow faster and become bigger and be worth more, have the shares be worth more, if the entrepreneur who founded the company steps down and lets a CEO who has a lot of experience on growing companies towards a certain stage take charge of the operations of the company. Now, this can be very hard for many founders who find themselves having to let go of their babies, especially if they are venture backed or they have other kinds of funding that has such kinds of stipulations where the investors can just take you out. Even if that's not the kind of business you're doing, this gives you an idea of something that many people have to face, and that is sometimes the person who can grow the company the best is not necessarily the founder, simply because the skill sets for entrepreneurship are not the same as the skill sets for management. And it turns out that on average, the entrepreneurs who allowed another CEO to take charge ended up having a net worth or a richness or a wealth that was higher than the entrepreneurs who did not. And this is adjusting for many other variables like company size and all those things. So what this means is that some entrepreneurs were smart in letting another person take charge of it, as long as what mattered most to them was not control, but being rich. So if you're high on economic values, even if you don't necessarily have the need for control or you don't necessarily have the altruistic value, and you have other interests that you can mix in with this, especially if you're very interested in entrepreneurship, you've always been interested in this since a younger age perhaps, that tends to be a good indicator, then chances are you can still do something big, even if not by yourself. Step 4, maximize your other core values which have not been mentioned before. So if you weren't high on political values, social values, or on economic values, then that probably means that deep down, you don't really care that much about making it big or having a huge impact in the world or even making that much money. And that's okay. You need to be self-aware enough to know that. You shouldn't be trying to like, oh, I want to be this big entrepreneur just because it's the latest facade. And deep down, that's not really the person that you are, because that's what your values reflect. But you may still be interested in perhaps working for yourself, working from home, or something like that. In that case, you can always just go. Maybe you're high on aesthetic values and you are an artistic person, a creative person, and you could go down that route. Maybe you like a career such as graphic design, interior design, or anything else that allows you to create beautiful stuff. And in the case that you do have high political values or high values when it comes to the social and economic parts of your personality, then you can still mix those with other values that are high. For example, if you are very high on theoretical stuff, maybe you are the scientist CEO. We see that all the time. We see big businesses in the sectors like pharmaceuticals, industrials, any other kind of like very scientific stuff that has to do with either biology or any of the other sciences that you will need to be basically a PhD founder for in order to like kind of like get an idea of what's going on. Not necessarily, but you get what I mean, because there are many founders like that who are managing big companies that are making a lot of impact in the world and a lot of money as well. Step 5 to know if this is for you, if having a business of your own is for you, is to actually do it. The trial of fire is always freaking doing it. It doesn't matter if you were doing it when you were a kid, even though a lot of people say that is the case. It doesn't matter if you have high core values in XYZ. At the end of the day, actually doing the deed for a long period of time is going to tell you, okay, like this is for me, this is not for me. Maybe you started and it's like you hate it, and that's what makes sense. That's going to be the trial of fire. And at the end of the day, you could just take all these tests and feel good about yourself because, yeah, you're potentially a business leader or whatever, or you have the potential to be one. But if at the end of the day, you cannot lead yourself, how can you lead others? So now you know 5 powerful steps to determine if you have what it takes to be a business owner yourself. If you like this video, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell. Also, if you found that this was useful and you would like other people to see it, remember to share it with your friends.